Good afternoon and welcome to another Tech Bites. We are excited to have Daniel Archuleta. He's going to be sharing with us some exciting and scary information when it comes to cybersecurity. We're going to have him present Cyber Hygiene, keeping cyber secure. So with that, Daniel, go ahead and take it away.
Yes, Daniel Archuleta. I will be briefly talking about maintaining some sort of cyber hygiene with your devices and while you're browsing online. Just a little bit of extra information to attempt to stay safe because unfortunately not everyone's going to be 100% secure online. We can only do the best we can to protect ourselves and our data. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and let's begin. Oh, that's my email. Okay, so cyber hygiene best practices featuring moi. A little introduction about myself. I was born and raised in Deming, New Mexico, and I finished high school in El Paso. Even though while I was in high school, I did a lot of robotics, automation, and pneumatic work. Built some computers here and there, especially whenever I was in Phoenix, when I was in the culinary industry, in the hospitality. I always had a hand in IT, as well as some of the restaurants that I used to work at. Whenever they needed help, I was the IT guy as well, momentarily every now and then. Whenever the pandemic had fully hit, it was difficult to maintain a job in the hospitality industry, so I decided to go into IT. I started my own little IT support business and worked with the Deming Public Schools Tech Department, and then I joined the RAC in July of 2021 to help the vision of growing our technology services here. And with that, we have a lot of great projects that are technology backed. For the state with Tech Bites and moving forward. So with that, a little after about myself, here is some of the agenda we will be talking about today. So inventory managing, always make sure you got to be protecting your stuff, got to update, make sure you have backups of your data in a lot of places. We're going to talk about email safety. We're going to talk about our favorite thing in the world, passwords and strong passwords, multi-factor authentication after you log in, and then we're going to talk about archiving versus deleting information. And with that, let's go ahead and talk about inventory managing. Gotta protect our stuff. So when it comes with that, you get a new job, you're working in the office, they give you a brand new shiny laptop, or you're remote working and they send you a brand new shiny laptop to do your job. Regardless, wherever you are, whether you're at the home office or you're in the main office with other colleagues, it's always best to maintain a best practice of always locking your device whenever you step away, whether it be for seconds or minutes. With that, it's easy to find information on an open device. There's always going to be incidences, no matter how big or small the organization is. There are what we call bad threat actors that will come in and intentionally sabotage or try to destroy, copy, or some way invalidate the data, or to even make sure that the data itself, its integrity is just diminished. So we want to take all these precautions to make sure that all of our data is going to be protected. So always lock a computer whenever you walk away from it. Take your phone with you as well, because you never know what can be on your phone to be used as a tool to hack a computer. And we could talk about that later on with multi-factor authentication. And that's whether you're in the home office or in the office. With that, if you're going to be traveling for work or you're going to be taking your work devices with you, always make sure that your device is locked in a container. whether it be a laptop case, a backpack, etc. The TSA bags for laptop bags, those I highly recommend to use, even for personal use whenever you're even traveling between schools, sites, or if you're going to be going on a conference. Always make sure your devices are well physically protected, and not just from spillages or things like that, but also from an external force or from a threat actor as well, just to help prevent them or add an extra layer of a preventative measure for them to access that. Because you could take the entire case, go home and cut it open with a knife or break into the hard shell case of what have it, but that's still an extra layer of protection for that device. It's not going to completely mitigate it. There's other backups and other ways that the IT department can do for that kind of thing, but with you as the owner of the device, we are trying to make sure that it is protected. Also, when you're traveling at hotels or you're at airports, especially airports, high traffic, never use any of the USB charging stations that are there, no matter how secure they claim to be. It is extremely easy for someone to use it right before you. They could be charging their phone, but at the same time, they could be injecting small codes of script to just start slowly breaking into the computers, or they can completely just drop a piece of malware without you knowing, a spyware, a keylogger, or something in the back end to steal all of your information. So always make sure when you're traveling, bring your wall adapter and plug everything in to the wall adapter. Always make sure that your charging devices are your personal or issued to you, and that they are trusted, because you never know what is going to be out there. And there's been incidences where people plugged in their laptop to a charging station, and the voltage could have even been wrong itself, and it bricked or it completely fried all of the components, and it just turned it into a complete overpriced paperweight made of silicone, gold, and aluminum. So we just want to prevent that from happening. So always make sure you have those devices with their proper equipment and do not use publicly shared devices. And that also includes free Wi-Fi as well. Those access points and those network connections, they are so insecure that they can easily be monitored by anybody else. And you can easily get information stolen that way as well. So always use your own hotspot. Nowadays, all of your phones have hotspot capabilities if it's a part of your carrier plan. I personally recommend just always having even up to a 2 gig as a backup, because even for personal use, it's always good to make sure you have that extra layer of protection. So with that, whenever you're traveling, just always make sure you use your own stuff. Another thing with that, let's talk about updates. So there is a difference between updating your device and upgrading. Upgrading, you should definitely leave it for your IT department, especially when it comes between new operating systems, as well as versions of software. So you have your typical Windows, Mac, and mobile updates via the Play Store or the App Store, respectively Android and Apple. With Windows, it's extremely easy to set everything on auto update and let things set it and forget it. There are times where you will need to go ahead and kind of give it a little extra bit of a push to get some updates. And there are a difference between quality updates and feature updates. And here I will go ahead and show that to you. So whenever we are at our desktop, sorry, there's so many emails open, excuse my background. Right click on the Windows button and you'll have the settings. You could also get there as well by just clicking on it normally, and it will populate in a pinned. If you don't have it pinned, you can do all apps, but it's also easier to go into settings here. So once you're in settings, you will land on the system. In the left bar here, you'll go to the Windows update, and then you will have updates available to install. For me, I do a lot of IT work, so I do have different experience packs, different features and things like that of tools that I utilize to get my job done. I'm not going to install this just because of the meeting that we're in, but it's also a perfect example of a pending update. It's not exactly going to be this update that you do see on the screen, but it will be something different. And there are different updates to think about as well. You don't have to focus on advanced options, but what we can have here, you have your optional updates. Normally, these are going to be drivers and feature updates. We really don't worry about those. In case there's ever an issue with an update coming up, you could either set it go back if your IT department has this managed on their end. I would ask the IT to roll back an update, as I myself am an admin for my device. I do have an option to update history. And then here we have our feature updates and quality updates. And then also there's an availability here at the bottom to uninstall updates. And this is more of privileged access, and it opens up a different window. We don't have to get into this. This is very technical. This is mostly aimed for IT. But here you can see just the most recent updates that you have. The feature updates, as I've stated before, those are about 95% optional, so we don't have to worry about those. The quality updates, these are the ones that will have your security patches and things like that. So if you see a cumulative update that is pending, or if it needs to be restart, sometimes right here, if you look in the bottom in the taskbar, you will have kind of like a little sync. If you have the little sync with a red dot, that means your computer needs to be restarted because it has already installed an update, or it's pending an install for an update. If the little dot is blue, that means it's going to be a feature update, and you necessarily do not need to worry about that. So that's a little bit of a difference when it comes with updates. If you just help the IT department maintain the updates every now and then, they would absolutely love you. And it's also a great best practice for your own personal devices, especially with how there's a lot more remote working and a lot more availability for the bad threat actors to come in and be able to take that information. So if you're working from remote, your IT department should have already had set up, ways to access the information, or if you're in the office, that is already going to be set. So that's what I have with updates for Windows. For Mac, I do not have a Mac device on me to be able to show you. So here's a little screenshot for the updates. You could always have them check it automatically. You could have it download new updates, and then you have your other options there. And then you have your mobile devices, whether they be your Android tablets or phones or your Apple products. You could also set those to auto update. Even whenever you do have it on auto update, you have an exemplary battery charge, as well as connected to Wi-Fi. They will not always automatically update. So sometimes you will have to go into the Play Store to manually update them yourself. It just really depends on how it is. For example, there was a forced update for us here at SWREC for our time management. The application for the mobile devices only had made a major update to where it is the full way that it looks, the user experience, as well as some backend stuff. And so far, I've found that nobody likes it. And that's unfortunate, but it's one of those things that it's out of the local IT's hands, and that's just going to be the company whenever it comes with auto updates. And sometimes those things, we cannot roll them back whenever they're not functioning 100%. So I also just wanted to let you know that whenever you do have a enterprise issued mobile device, there are going to be some back-end management. So there will be some settings that you will not have access to. Unfortunately, I do not have a mobile emulator on me at the moment, so I would not be able to show you on certain phones where those settings are for Android versions or Apple versions, unfortunately, but it is a good knowledge to look at that as well. So going into updates, sometimes your device is going to make a backup or a rollback version before the update is installed. So with that, autosave is always going to be your best friend. And with that, you have what I found here for the state of New Mexico. We've mostly been utilizing OneDrive or Google Drive. I haven't seen anyone using Amazon services yet. If we do, I'll modify that for them. But so far with OneDrive and Google Drive, it's pretty much set up and seamless. So I'm going to go ahead and show you here. So my PowerPoint presentation for this current presentation, if you look in the top left, you will see that the autosave is on. And if you hit Control Save, it'll save it. But with autosave on, any modifications that you have, it syncs it to the cloud. And you're going to always have a copy of that data both locally on your device and also in the cloud. And depends on the plan that is paid for. On average, usually with the Microsoft 365 licensure, you have up to 5 devices that you could use per account. So that'd be your work device, your personal laptop, and you log in online, not on the apps. Your work issued device, your personal mobile device, whether it be a phone or tablet, your personal device of a phone or tablet. So you have availability to access all this information. We have already proven that jump drives are now going on the way of being obsolete as a CD player with all these cloud services. So with that being said, Google Drive as well, with their platform, they have everything essentially automatically saved whenever you use it, because Google Drive and all them and Google, they keep everything majority cloud-based. They do not have an operating system like Windows does, so they are not going to have like the OneDrive features. Chrome devices or Chromebooks, they are more of an extension of the Chrome browser than an actual operating system, but they are already developing their own. So within the next couple of years, they might have some of their own devices that will be comparable with Apple and Windows, but that's still years out. So here in Google Drive, we have the schedules of things, but if you access these, they are automatically going to be saved as you edit them live. So in a Google Doc, if I were to have that here, even an untitled document, I could put a little test here, and then I could just make up a file path for something to get to a file. So, file path here, it'll save it. Come up here. Let's see if you have your editing policies. Last edit was a few seconds ago. Change the title, test in my drive, and then I can back out. Let's see if it'll let me back out. And then there it is right there. There's my test. Just as I had left it without that extra little R. So you don't have to hit save. You could just type things in. You could exit out, and Google Drive would do the thing. And the G Drive and the G Suite will do that for you. So you don't really have to even bother setting it and forgetting it, because it's already set and forgot for you. So with that, that's your OneDrive and also your Google Drive capabilities of backing up all of your data. You would also have versions of your operating system, but that is more IT aimed, so we won't get into that. Now moving on to After a backup, let's go into email safety because you never know if you're going to accidentally click into a bad link. So this is going to help prevent you from clicking into bad link, and email safety. Always a great thing to have. Think twice before you click. Here we have an example of a phishing email from Intuit Payroll. Intuit Payroll. So about 90% of the time you have your images prevented from being downloaded. And that's usually the Google or the Outlook aspect of it, just to help ensure safety and protection for all of the users. Realliving.com, sorry, is not a real email address from Intuit Payroll. They would have an intuit.com or Intuit, et cetera, et cetera. So you can already see from the email, from address in the email, that it's already a phish. So you report that, and it's going to be sent to you, priority high. So here they have the name, respective, they receive payroll, et cetera, et cetera. You have your fake account, and then it's going to be use of an absurd amount of money. They're not going to have your payroll access, but they could have an idea of when you would get paid, so they could just throw in a number of, hey, this is the money that it's going to be taken out. No. So they're just going to use that as a threat. Again, report. If you hover your mouse over any link, it would show the link that it's going to be sending you to after half a second or so. If that does not match what you expect it to go, automatically report your email, because that is also a phishing attempt, and it could also automatically download a virus onto your system. And then here, the rest of the email. A lot of the emails, a lot of the phishing, especially when it comes with global events, conflicts, things of that nature, with the current war in Russia and Ukraine, there's a lot of back-end technical phishing attempts from there, even coming into the States as innocent, albeit as a B, to actual governmental kind of like hack attempts for phishing. So criminals are always going to try to use any sort of world event to make a buck. So they use any sort of terrorist attack, attempt on war, political figure death, things of that nature, to go ahead and try to get access to your data, information, to hack you, steal it, to lock it up with ransomware. So that's just one thing to really keep in mind, that always try to make sure every email that you get is safe. Even internally, a gaming company were hacked through their internal messaging system that they utilized for the IT department, and the threat actor posed as an IT person and got the credentials from an admin from this department, and was able to just move around in the entire network almost completely undetected for a while. So it's just one of those things. Even if it feels like it's an internal, always make sure the from address is from exactly who you think it is. And if you have any questions, reach out to that person directly. And with that being said, let's talk about how to report. So up here, we have a little example from Outlook of reporting. So I'm going to show you live how to do a report. From the app itself, you do not have an option. I have scoured through the settings to ensure that there was. I could not find it. It is going to be in the online version. Here are my emails. I'm going to go into my junk, see if I have anything in here potentially that would lead into it. Because if you have emails in your junk folder, Outlook already is going to take out a lot of information, a lot of graphics, and kind of make it all seem like a giant link. So here, we'll go into a draw for a PlayStation 5. Here's a good example. Is identified as junk. It's going to automatically block things for you in your junk folder. So you really don't have to focus about it here. But let's say you do get a phishing attempt in your junk email. So you would click here on the 3 dots, but it would be on the title line of the email. So it'll be the 3 dots here where it says more actions, and then you would scroll down to report, and then report is phishing. And that's from the junk email. It's going to be the same thing in your regular inbox, but you do have different options in your inbox. Let me see, this is a good one here that doesn't have information. So I know I've met this person in real life. This is his email address. But you see here compared to the junk email, how links and photos automatically downloaded because it was a trusted source from your inbox. So if you click in the more actions here in the top right, it's going to be the same thing, report phishing. It's going to automatically block it, and it's going to report it to Windows as well, so they can also investigate that email. I also have an example for Google, the Gmail as well. Let me find where I put my Gmail email. Here it is. So right here, this is my personal email. The promotion, this is, well, I do backpacking on the side, but let's say this wasn't from Gossamer Gear, it's from somebody else. Google, they give you an extra button to just unsubscribe here when it comes with the promotions. But if you go into the more, again, the 3 dots, you can report phishing as well, report it as spam. So all of your email service providers that you utilize, they do have reporting for phishing, and it does get sent to the proper teams internally for Google and for Outlook as well. And then let's go on to our favorite topic. So to get into your email, you need what? A strong password. We all know it's our favorite part. Unfortunately, the weakest password out there is password. It is still utilized a lot today. So password 1234, when it comes with your passwords, you really would like to prevent them from being words in the dictionary. It's a lot easier for the actor to go ahead and come in and use a dictionary attack to just start spamming it with words. Normally, password requirements are a minimum of 8 characters. You have a capital, a lowercase, and a special character and a number. Here we have our OK password. We have a capital, and we don't have consecutive numbers. Okay, it's not the best. A strong password is a variation of password with uppercase, lowercase, and special characters. This one isn't very strong because it's not going to incorporate a number. The very strong password here, it looks like someone just slapped their hand on the keyboard and decided to hit save. Almost in a sense, that's the best way to decide a password, but you're not going to remember that hullabaloo there. It meets all the requirements of the lowercase, a capital, a special character, and numbers. So with that, I use a preferred tool as my password management, just due to the fact that it is very free and very secure. I will be doing a password management tech bites on Valentine's Day next year. So let's start off the year with a little bit of romance and secure passwords there. But I'm going to show you a quick little example of how I got that slap on the keyboard password. So I go to the generator here, and you can see where you can create your stipulations for the password. So if I just use upper and lowercase, it's going to generate, or I'll just uppercase, it'll generate that. And then the more you add into it, it's going to add it for you and create its own. You could also create lengths as minimum as 5 characters to a maximum of 128. No one's going to remember anything past 12, to be honest. I personally aim about 16. It's a good little happy median between 8 and on average cap of 22. And it's going to be a lot more difficult to go ahead and try to guess than you would something that you would get out of a dictionary, in a sense. And then here's different settings. You could set minimum numbers, avoid ambiguous characters, but then again, I will be going over this on February 14th next year for password management. So that is how I was able to get to my very strong password. And another thing with passwords, it's everyone, a lot of financial institutions utilize a 60, 90, or 180-day password expiry date. So password managers are definitely going to help you remember those kind of passwords, especially whenever it comes time to changing them. They could be its own application, a desktop application, or it could be a web extension for Chrome, Safari, Firefox, and Edge, or essentially all Chromium-based web browsers. So after you have found your strong password, now you're going to have to deal with your multi-factor authentication. We got to make sure it's actually you logging in, and it's not someone that got your password and they're trying to log in from Virginia, or they're trying to log in from California, even though you're here in New Mexico. So there are ways about that, but making sure that it's definitely you. These aren't the only multi-factor authentication platforms that are out there. There's plenty more. The first three, Authy, Google Authenticator, and Microsoft Authenticator. Authy, it's a third party. I use them a lot because they're very secure, very free, and I've already just been with them for a while. There's some other ones that are out there. Google Authenticator, it's kind of a norm whenever you're using G Suite. So it's going to be a download. You could do either a tap on your device or enter it'll generate a 6-digit code. Same thing with Microsoft. So whenever you're registering for those, sometimes you will have to do a QR scan for your account to add it to the Authenticator app, or it'll just be a quick sign in with your username and password. Depends on how your admin has set it up. But these are the best things to help prevent your account from being hacked into, as well as making sure all of the data is safe. Authy, Google, and Microsoft Authenticators, they're all in the Play Store and the App Store. Authy also has its own desktop application. I personally do not use it, but I am going to show you its landing page. So you can enable it for your favorite sites, for Grammarly. There's a different password manager here that they use for RoboForm as an identity management, finance and stuff. So it is used everywhere. There's a lot of guides for it. You don't have to use it. I am just expressing how that there is multiple options for it. This right here, Bitwarden, this is my favorite password manager. I will be talking a little bit about this, as well as RoboForm and a few other multi-factor authenticators, or password managers, not multi-factor authenticators. And that's a little bit with Authy there. Google Authenticator, here it is, its webpage on the Play Store. It doesn't have its own desktop app. It's more aimed for your mobile device. But here's a few screenshots of how it looks. So you have to scan a QR code. It'll bring up your camera, and then you scan it, and it'll log you into your account. And then you'll have your list of accounts here for the code. And if you see this little pie chart here, that's a little time frame. That's about a 60-second timer to ensure that you have that code entered whenever it requests it, or it's going to auto-generate a new one. And then it's going to be the same thing with Microsoft Authenticator. You have a QR code for Android and the App Store. And as well as you can see here in some of this little screenshots, you could use your biometrics, whether it be your facial recognition, how you have those biometrics set up on your phone. It could be your fingerprint, or it could be a PIN number that you have set, and that is your mobile device's security, how it uses that authenticator to log into Microsoft Authenticator. Yes, it sounds like a lot, but that is just part of the security. If you really think about it, when you unlock your phone, that's one way of authenticating that it's you. And then whenever you use the authenticators, that's an extra layer of security. So it's just making sure you are safe in a very dangerous and high functioning, I guess you could say, high-paced internet world that we live in today, especially with remote working. Post-pandemic, we have everything going on. Not to get into politics, but a lot of phishing attempts happen during election years as well, especially when it comes in with campaigning. You can get emails in from people posing as campaigners to get your information. How did so and so get my information about banks? It's out there. It's happened before. It comes in from everywhere. I always have this old saying embedded in my head. Keep your radar on and your antenna up whenever you're surfing online, because you never know what's going to be coming around that corner. And then with that, our final topic, archiving and deleting your data. So soft delete or hard delete sensitive information, and we'll talk about that more here. What to do with your data. There's always going to be retention laws and policies, especially when it comes with work, especially for us in education. For a lot of transcripts, we're looking at about 90 years of retaining that information. Where am I going to keep it? Nowadays, it's easy to keep all of that information in the cloud. For 15 plus years ago, everything was kept in hard paper and files. So if we have anything 85 years older, then that's all going to be mostly hard documents, as well as a lot of things go from digital cleaning up servers to printing them out and putting them in an archive. When it comes with work related, make sure you follow policy. It's always good to follow policies when it comes to data retention, especially when it comes with finances and personable identifiable identification, or your PII. That would include social security numbers, addresses, driver's license numbers, date of birth, entire names, family names, maiden names. Student records have all of that information. Normally, the student information systems have all of that behind their own secure servers, databases, and firewalls. It's whenever that information is going to be released. Always make sure you have a history for your accounts to make sure that all of that data can be looked back upon in case of incidences moving forward. And then make sure that you're meeting retention requirements. For finances, you're looking for about a 7-year on-site record keeping. Anything over 7 years, you could archive them and move them on, but that also depends on the state laws, on the federal laws, and it really depends on what laws you have to really look upon, especially for us in education. We have to deal with FERPA, HIPAA, CIPA, all the HIPAAs out there where data has to be saved and it has to be integral. When you're archiving your personal stuff, receipts, insurance, income information, property information, keep those in lockboxes. If they're going to be saved digitally, make sure those devices are encrypted, password protected, and put in a fireproof container, because you never know when a disaster will happen. When it comes to deleting the actual information permanently, there's really not always going to be a full-on permanent delete. Admins usually would have that kind of access, and even then, there are still ways to recover some of that data, unless it was fully properly scrubbed. Totally different topic for mostly IT. And it is situational. So for people that are dropping clients or losing clients, a lot of that information that is owned by the client, especially when it comes to informational property that you need to maintain its integrity with, that information is just going to go back to the client. So you'll put it in an encrypted drive, save it all, try to scrub it from your machines. So in case there is an incident to where there's some ransomware and you still have residual items from a previous client that can potentially also be affected as well, you want to prevent that as well. So there's just really a lot of things of what to do with data. Here in the resources, I do have links for New Mexico records and retention schedule. I did get this from Albuquerque Public Schools specifically because they are the largest district in the state. I did find the actual law for data retention. It's hundreds of pages, it's a lot, I'm not going to go into it. But we can see here transcripts 90 years after graduation, health students, 10 years. And this is just to make sure that you're safe. This is mostly for admins, registrars, record keepers and stuff, but there are also teachers that wear many hats that have a lot of that information, especially with SPED. You have your IEPs. You want to make sure all of that data is safe. So it's always good to not delete, to archive, and to make sure you're following the data retention laws or whatever policy that your district or your admin has for everyone. And then with that, here are the resources, and I would like to open the board for any questions.
You're good at even have to tell them.
Okay, so here I'm going to show you our Tech Bytes schedule link. So here you have the SWREC Tech Bytes, that's us. Here we are today, the 13th. We have the PM register link. On the 17th for our Lunch and Learn, we'll be doing inserting smart art and graphics with Amber Richmond for lunch, and then I will be doing PowerPoint Coach with on the 17th for AM and PM for the Tech Bytes. So hopefully you get to come in and see us. Here is a registration link I was talking about to follow up with more security, cybersecurity. So let's make this a romantic day in 20,232 on Valentine's Day. So let's make passwords romantic this time around. We have an AM and a PM register link, and we also have our future topics here. Us on Google Docs and stuff. And this list here for all of our future topics includes all of our ECAs, so that's 1 through 10s, professional development links. When it loads, I'll be able to cipher it for you. So here in the turquoise, we have region 10. In the green, we have region 9. In some areas, we also would have, we have region 8 right here. We have a region 1. All right, so we have region 6. So it's everyone in the states. All of the Tech Bytes, Tech Bits are going to be here, and the future future topics, it's going to lead you into this one here. And all of the links are going to be here for registration, and the AM and PM links for those dates. We also have our archives of previous sessions that we have done, and we also have our YouTube. And with that being said, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Again, open this up for any more questions if we have any.
And no, I don't see any questions at all. But this has been very, very informative. Of course, this is an extremely powerful topic. We cannot emphasize how important it is to maintain safety, whether you are at work or whether you have your personal devices. This is extremely important information. You can carry an infection from your personal devices and take it to your workplace and infect an entire network. So these are very, very important guidelines for you to follow in both your personal and work environment. So we want to thank you, Daniel, for sharing this information, and hope that many people will have information that they can use in their personal and daily lives. And hopefully they will join you in February 14th of that ungodly year that I have posted on our website and be able to join us and get some more valuable information about password management, because that too is an extremely important topic as well as all of our other free professional trainings available to educators throughout the state. So join us for lunch and learns, quick and dirty little sessions that are less than 30 minutes, as well as our tech bites that we offer every other Tuesday. So hopefully you can join us again, and we look forward to having people join us and learning with the RECs and our free professional development. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.